Okay, welcome to Educated Bowlers, the episode number 2. I'd like to introduce our panelists. As usual, we have Lupe Solis, Dr. Lupe Solis. We have Dr. Jeff Kolnick, and we have myself, Joe Wendroth, and we have over here Dr. Tim Boehm. Okay, today we're doing our first show on the topic, my God, this is a slaughterhouse, isn't it? And this first version of the show that we're doing is without Dilly. We had intended to have Tom Dilly with us today to provide a view, a scientific view, a reasonable view, a reasoned view, so he's not able to be here today, but I think it would be good for us to work out a few things, and I think what we can do is generate a lot of misinformation and a lot of kind of intuitive stuff that really is very, very wrong. And then we'll have another show with Dilly where we can correct, we can let him know exactly what we came to today. Okay, I wrote a little introduction for you, and then I'll let you speak. Dr. Jeff Kolnick, son of light, dark stem of trembling patience, unpromising gush of sick music. Welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
Let me introduce Dilly too, even though he's not here. Dr. Tom Dilly, man picture, carriage of pests, decider of the next bed. Welcome. Okay. My God, this is a slaughterhouse, isn't it?
When you first asked me to participate in the topic, I was struck by the seriousness of the topic, not really knowing what you intended ultimately, but thinking about it from time to time.
And?
Well, I'm kind of wondering what you mean. I mean, do you mean this is a slaughterhouse from the position kind of metaphorically? You know, in other words, that this world, this place we live in is really a slaughterhouse, or do you mean it literally like we took the tour down at Heartland? You know, but my God, this is a slaughterhouse. You know what I'm saying?
So when you were in what the normal folk, the good the salt of the earth folk who watch this show, when they do things like that, go to tours of slaughterhouses, right? And which is no doubt why you were there. And they would, in that case, you know, they'd say this is an actual slaughterhouse. Right. So yeah, you're right. So that is really all I'd like to try to do today is to talk about what is meant, or what could be meant by saying this. Is it really not apropos of me to make that statement, given that I'm not in a slaughterhouse?
That's what I'm asking. See,
what did you learn at the slaughterhouse, by the way?
Well, you know, I'm a historian, you know, and I've read books on slaughterhouses, and I've shown a video of slaughterhouse, and I've had the opportunity to visit a slaughterhouse ever since I moved to Marshall, because Heartland does regular tours, but I have chosen not to do it, so I've never actually been in a slaughterhouse. Though recently, my person I'm sharing a house with, that person slaughters animals, and I've seen carcasses.
Your partner?
He's not really my partner, he's just a person I'm renting a room from, but there I have seen carcasses, I think.
He brings home carcasses?
3 different kinds of carcasses. I've seen 3 different kinds of carcasses since I lived there.
Yeah. So in your study of slaughterhouses, what was any of it interesting to you?
Oh, all of it, you know, from the labor process, the development of slaughterhouses vis-a-vis, say, small, small butcher shops with 2 or 3 individuals, master and apprentice, you know, doing it from beginning to end to the development of actual slaughterhouses. You know, that process itself is quite interesting. And then the labor process, you know, of the disassembly line, that's fairly interesting. And the racial tension and the labor movement that overcame that to a large degree early on with other portions of the labor movement, managerial practices within the slaughterhouses, speeding up the line, carpal tunnel syndrome, all those kinds of things. Then the breakdown of the union movement so that slaughterhouse jobs become well-paying jobs. People could buy a lake house, buy a camper maybe on the wages of a slaughterhouse. To now the labor has been devalued by society to the point that it's really kind of a low-wage gig now, really, in comparison to what it was. It's paid less now than it was 20 years ago, in real dollars. I mean, in constant dollars. You know, wages are lower. I mean, it was 15. You might have made $15 an hour 20 years ago, and you're making 8 to 12 now.
Which 15, 20 years ago was what, 30 now?
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent job. You know, I mean, if you were at the top of the pay scale in a slaughterhouse, on the line, on a knife, you were making fairly decent money. I mean, it was
What about the psychological? Is there any kind of evidence of a psychological impact? People living a life, going to a slaughterhouse, disassembling day after day, covered in blood and bone.
Yeah. You know, there's the best story I've read about that was in this book called Coming of Age in Mississippi by Ann Moody. She was going to school in Mississippi University and took a job in a slaughterhouse chickens in Louisiana for a summer. And she described the eyes of the men, the 2 men, that all they did was wring the necks of chickens all day long. You know, I mean, that's all they did. And you know, it was a fairly aggressive line. So I mean, you're talking several chickens, you know, all day. You know, and that they'd had these jobs for a while, and that the eyes of these men looked wild. But you know, then in all my other reading of labor in the slaughterhouse, I haven't seen indications that it had a psychological effect. I would imagine that what she was getting at, based on her experiences, was that those individuals that are killing, once it's dead and you're disassembling it, I think the process is much easier. But if all you did year after year after year, day after day after day, hour after hour after hour was do the slaughter yourself, you know, and then you kill it. She was indicating that it appeared to have an effect on the eyes of these men.
Well, with all the advances in laser eye surgery and stuff.
But I don't think it was that kind of effect on the eyes,
No,
Joe.
no.
I think it was an effect on your
talking-
psychological. I understand what you're saying, but apparently it wasn't a physical thing.
Yeah, but I think the thing that needs to be understood about what we're talking about here is slaughterhouse. It has a certain ring to it. It's got it's a house of horrors sort of situation. But there are 2 things that I find it necessary to reply as a reply. This sentence is beyond repair. I'll start over. Yeah. That there are 2 things I want to say in response to that. One, killing is totally necessary and good thing. I think it's been part of the existence of our or of many mammals, and it's part of humanity for as long as we can look back, or I guess they can trace it back to we were pretty much kind of like what do we call like vultures, falling, getting
Really?
carcass.
People did that?
That's
People did that?
at the earliest point.
Is that right?
It evolved into to our ability to kill other things around and eat them. And so the killing, in a way, to me, is in itself if we are going to be, the second thing is that we are a society which has hardly refrained from the eating of killed things.
No, no.
In fact, we're probably eating more of it than ever, especially this country being the greatest meat-eating country in the history of the earth.
I don't know that that's true, because there are cultures that, particularly if you include fish, cultures that survived on seafood,
Almost exclusively.
Yeah, almost. Obviously it's seasonal, but they would go through long periods where they're eating, quite a bit of fish or a seal or whatever it is, right? Because the growing seasons are quite short, and the fish are plentiful.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on where you are, there might be individuals that really eat very, very, very high protein. Again, if you consider fish meat, I don't know.
Sure, it is, isn't it? I think it's a living thing. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, living in the sense of it's not a plant.
No, it's a fish.
Yeah. Yeah. So given that that's the fact that we're partaking of it, I find that our alienation from the actual killing.
That's important. That's significant.
Yeah, that's a significant point that for us to kind of look. So the aspect of the slaughterhouse isn't the killing; it's the mechanical nature of the killing.
Right, and the alienation of the people that are eating the meat from the process of the killing, which is recent in human history. That let's say that you're a Garden of Eden type, and then you're looking at about maybe like 12, 13,000, 15,000 years. I don't know exactly how far back they date the Adam and Eve thing, but let's say you're one of those.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying, if you believe in evolution or you believe in creation, either way.
Believe. It's not a matter of belief.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
You're deluded or not deluded.
Yeah, but they're out there, they're the believers out there,
Okay.
both, right? So I'm just saying, either one, it was a long time that human beings were directly associated with the kill,
Sure.
And then either way, whether you're a believer in the Garden of Eden thing or you're a believer in the evolution thing, the amount of time that human beings have been alienated from the kill is really quite recent.
Mm-hmm.
Really quite recent.
Right.
I would think just the last couple hundred years.
And to become reacquainted with the kill can be a really grounding, humbling, a thing which generates an appreciation for the whole scene of organisms in which we thrive.
I wouldn't know personally, because the one time recently, I haven't killed in a long time, and the one time recently that I had a real opportunity to kill was when I went fishing, and I was going to bait the hook, and I discovered that even a leech has the will to live. That leech, figured the leech would just go on the hook without a fight.
I don't know about a will to live, a will to avoid pain. Doesn't want that thing to go in it.
Whatever, the leech showed some opposition.
Opposition.
It had a sense of what was going on.
I can't put leeches on hooks. I can, but I hate it because they suck at you while you're doing it.
Yeah, it wasn't the sucker that bothered me really. It was the fact that I was going to kill this leech, and that the leech had
Had a better life ahead of it.
Well, whether it had a will to live or not, I don't know what the leech was thinking. But clearly, if a leech can think,
No,
but
leech can't.
but clearly the leech knew something